Hello, I'm glad to see you again in the VNA Bulletin. I'm Bangam from Hanoi, and now the headlines. Prime Minister Sept attends ASEAN meetings with partners as part of ASEAN Summit. Vietnam is among countries with high rate of smokers. Phu Thai province boasts potential for tourism development. Prime Minister Sept attended the ASEAN-US Summit in the Lao capital city of Vientiane on September 8th. At the event, the two sides valued progress in the ASEAN-US relationship since it was elevated to strategic partnership in November 2015. ASEAN countries appreciated the U.S. role as the key partner of ASEAN in building community, promoting peace and security, shaping regional structure, and tackling global challenges. Prime Minister Phu suggested the two sides speed up collaboration in a host of realms, including economics, environment protection, science, technology, education, and climate change. He stressed the need for strong ties in dealing with non-traditional security challenges. He proposed the U.S. continue implementing Low Mekong Initiative to help Mekong countries improve their capacities in response to climate change, drought and stormwater intrusion, and the sustainable use of water resources. At the ASEAN-India Summit, the two sides pledged to effectively implement the plan of action for the 2016 to 2020 period. They agreed to further enhance trade and investment cooperation, targeting two-way trade of $200 billion by 2022. Prime Minister Phu expressed his hope that India will play its role as a prestigious superpower to cooperate with ASEAN in promoting international institutions' role, boosting the compliance with international law, preventing conflicts, building trust, and resolving disputes by peaceful means. He urged the two sides to take measures to boost trade investment and science and high-tech affiliation while strengthening connectivity. At the East Asia Summit, participating leaders approved the Vientiane Declaration on promoting infrastructure development cooperation in East Asia and East Asia Summit Declaration on strengthening responses to migrants in crisis and trafficking in persons. Prime Minister Phu said Vietnam and other ASEAN member states will exert every effort to promote its role in building trust, maintaining peace, and playing a central role in urging partners to strive for objectives that meet common interests. The Vietnamese government leader also expressed his wish that all partners continue their contributions to maintaining peace and stability in the region, as well as share experience in settling disputes at sea with peaceful measures. Following the closing ceremony of ASEAN Summit and a ceremony to hand over ASEAN chairmanship to the Philippines, Prime Minister Phu left Vientiane, successfully concluding his trip to Laos for attending ASEAN Summit and related events. While in Vientiane on the same day, Prime Minister Sept had a meeting with his Australian counterpart Malcolm Turnbull. He asked for Australia's support in climate change, sustainable development, and education. He proposed that Australia broaden its door for Vietnamese farm produce, while speeding up the conclusion of the risk assessment procedures on Vietnam's dragon fruit, enabling the product to be sold in the Australian market. The two prime ministers expressed delight at the growing bilateral ties while discussing measures to further the Vietnam-Australia comprehensive partnership, especially in economy, trade, and investment. During his meeting with UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon, Prime Minister Phu said, as an active and responsible member of the international community, Vietnam commits to joining U.S. efforts and initiatives. Vietnam is proactively implementing sustainable development goals and including them into its socio-economic development plans. The United Nations leader held Vietnam's support, especially in the commencement of One UN policy. He affirmed that UN bodies will work hand in hand with Vietnam in fulfilling sustainable development goals and dealing with climate change, contributing to the success of Vietnam's socio-economic plan. A high-ranking military delegation led by Deputy Minister of Defence, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Chí Vịnh, paid a visit to the UK from September 5th to 7th. During the trip, the Vietnamese officers had a working session with their British counterparts. The two sides discussed the fields of cooperation, including the exchange of military delegations at all levels and stepping up cooperative ties between defense research institutes of Vietnam and the UK. Bilateral cooperation in training was also tabled for discussion, in which the UK pledged to assist Vietnam in teaching English, commanding and peacekeeping skills to military officers. Host and guest debated collaboration in hydrography and defense industry, and considered the establishment of a defense policy dialogue mechanism at Deputy Defense Ministerial level between two countries. They compared notes on international and regional issues of common concern, stressing that countries need to join hands to deal with non-traditional security challenges. The two sides agreed that disputes and differences should be solved by peaceful measures on the basis of compliance with international law. Vietnam is among the countries having the highest rate of smokers in the world. That is the result of a survey on tobacco use among adults, which was announced at a conference in Hanoi on September 6. According to the survey, the rate of tobacco users reduced from 23.8% in 2010 to 22.5% in 2015. The proportion of male smokers fell from 47.4% to 45.3%. In urban areas, the figure decreased to 42.7% from 47.7%. The rate of passive smoking at workplace and in public transportation means also declined, from 25.9% and 34.3% in 2010 to 42.6% and 19.4% last year, respectively. To accelerate the implementation of the law of prevention and control of tobacco harms, the Fund for Prevention and Control of Tobacco Harms will intensify the ban of smoking in public areas, as well as inspections over the implementation of the ban at medical facilities and administrative offices. It will also propose the government and the National Assembly speed up the assessment of the impact of increases of tobacco taxes on tobacco consumption in order to have a roadmap to continue raising the taxes to reduce the rate of smoking. The World Health Organization reported that around 40,000 people in Vietnam die from smoking-related diseases each year. Meanwhile, a survey at the Cancer Hospital in Hanoi showed 96.8% of lung cancer patients smoke. Passive smokers, particularly children, also face high risks of diseases. The 12th International Travel Expo Ho Chi Minh City opened in the southern largest economic hub on September 7th. We went along to take a look. The 3-day event has 280 booths set up by 32 international tourism agencies, 38 local firms, and 31 cities and provinces across the country. Airlines, hotels and resorts, and tour companies from 22 countries have also taken part in the event. Addressing the opening ceremony, Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism Nguyễn Ngọc Thiện said that the annual event aims to promote the images of Vietnam's land and people, as well as boost cultural and tourism cooperation between Vietnam and foreign countries, especially those in Southeast Asia. Organizers took this occasion to grant the Mekong Tourism Alliance Awards 2016 to travel businesses, which have made outstanding contributions to the development of tourism trademarks of the 5 great Mekong sub-region countries, including Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. Vietnam has deployed drastic measures to boost tourism in an effort to turn it into an important pillar of the economy. More details in the following report. The online application for visa from 2017 is one of the efforts to realize the country's target of earning $20 billion in tourism revenues by 2020, making up 10 to 12% of the GDP. The international terminal of the Nội Bài International Airport and new bridges spanning the Red River that have shortened traveling time to inner Hanoi have provided more favorable conditions for holidaymakers. However, numerous challenges are facing Vietnam in fulfilling its target, including poor infrastructure and lack of connection between a number of provinces and cities in promoting tourism. According to the National Administration of Tourism, Vietnam welcomed about 6.5 million foreign tourists in the first 8 months of this year, a year-on-year increase of 25.4%. The sector earned around $12 billion in the period, up 22.5% against the same time in 2015. In August, the country received about 899,738 foreign visitors, up 6.3% from July and 34.4% higher than the same period last year. The number of domestic holidaymakers from January to August was estimated at 43.1 million. With natural and cultural advantages, the northern province of Phu Tho is considered a golden land for tourism development. The history of Phu Tho is linked to the 18th dynasties of Hung Kings, who were credited with building Văn Lang, the first state in Vietnam's history. The province, 80 kilometers away from Hanoi, is now home to popular destinations such as the Hung Temple, a special national historical relic to worship the Hung Kings, the legendary founders of Vietnam. The province boasts was intangible cultural heritages of Hung Kings worshipping practice and swan singing. All have created a land with huge potential for developing various forms of tourism such as ecotourism, cultural tourism, and spiritual tourism. To fully tap its strengths, the province has built a long-term tourism development strategy to turn the industry into a spearhead economy. As planned, the locality's tourism sector aims to draw more than $260 million in revenue by 2020. It moves to increase investment for tourism by $585 million by 2030 to improve infrastructure, human resources, and tourism products and services, especially in 4 tourism centers in Việt Trì City and Thanh Thủy, Tân Sơn, and Hà Hoa districts. Authorities will apply particular policies to make it easier for businesses to invest in the field. This meant to create a safe, hospitable, friendly, and attractive destination for tourists with a target of welcoming 7.2 million domestic visitors and 7,500 foreigners by 2020. The province is expected to welcome 25,000 overseas holidaymakers and 10.7 million at home by 2030. The Provincial Department of Culture, Sports and Tourism reported Phu Tho greeted 7 million visitors each year in the 2011 to 2015 period, registering an annual growth of 4.3%. And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for watching and see you next time.